good chunk, he means like half. So the 800 civilian deaths, he's going to say that like maybe 400 got killed by the IDF. And he's going to cite to that one Haaretz article that talks about how on the final day or two of fighting, like I think on October 9th or 10th or whatever, that I think some of civilians might have been killed.
Yeah, that's not what they said. Oh, look, somebody in the chat mentioned the Hannibal directive.
Like 10 or 12 might have been killed as the IDF was coming back through to try to clear out Hamas, because Hamas, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and other Palestinian fighters were like holed up basically in kibbutzes and in homes and stuff.
Kibbutzes. Fucker.
And it's possible that some Israeli fire killed some civilians that were being...
it's more than possible. We know for a fact that they did. We have eyewitnesses, Israeli eyewitnesses, since that probably matters more to Destiny and his fucking audience than anyone else, who say that it definitely did. We have senior Israeli military officers, colonels, saying, yeah, we got an order to shoot everything, every vehicle that was headed toward the Gaza Strip. And we have footage of the fucking, of the Apache helicopters doing exactly that.
That were being fought alongside some of the invaders, I guess. This has nothing to do with the Hannibal directive whatsoever.
Yeah, it has everything to do with the fucking Hannibal directive, unless you're claiming that now the Israeli media are lying, unless you're claiming that senior Israeli military officers are lying, unless you're claiming Haaretz fabricated a document, fabricated actual evidence of the Hannibal directive being activated. Like, I mean, I'm not sure if it was written or it was on recorded radio communications, but they published that just a couple of weeks ago.
However, it is anybody that brings it up in this context is completely has nothing to do with that.
He's just completely lying to his audience here. I mean, although that gives him credit for more knowledge than he probably has. But I mean, what Hassan is saying here is well established. Like, it is not controversial at this point. It's just that it has hardly been discussed in English language media, apart from, like, the Australian Broadcasting Company did a piece on it last week, months after the story broke in Israel.
For sure. Like, the major elements that also broke through the boundary, the Gaza border fence, were responsible for the majority of the civilian deaths and the majority of the IDF deaths. Okay.
This is why I like it. This is why I like to ask somebody. Give me like an approximate percentage. I'm not going to nail you down. I'm not going to say like ask me like.
Well, but you're asking. It's a ridiculous question to ask, because the only answer is we can't know for sure. The physical evidence was destroyed. It will probably take historians reconstructing like oral history interviews and opening the archives decades from now to get at the non-public classified internal after-action reports from the various units involved in order to really get any kind of idea just what percentage the IDF was responsible for. I mean, it would be ridiculous to see. He wants him to give a number because he knows there's no backing up any number, actually. So no matter what number he gives, he can mock it one way or another. No matter, if he says like 50% or something like that, there's nothing that actually tells us it was 50%. It's not clear, so we can mock that. But so Hassan is actually doing the right thing here and saying you really can't say. It would be pure speculation because the evidence was destroyed. It was never properly investigated. And so he's mocking him for that.
17.48. But the problem is, like, he has so much wiggle room here to where if you were to confront him on it in a public space.
Now, why does he have wiggle room? Why don't we have a detailed forensic accounting of the scene, of the physical evidence? I mean, the UN were actually calling for an independent inquiry. They set up a body to do it. The forensic unit of the IDF were begging to go in there. So why is it that we have so much wiggle room? Like like it's a favor to Hassan that there wasn't a proper investigation.
He would say like majority. Like I think like 90% were killed by Hamas.
Oh, so now we're taking the piss out of what he would say. I mean, he didn't say that, though. I think if he would say that, he would have said that.
And the invaders, but then like to his audience, they understand as like maybe 51%, maybe 52%, like almost half were probably killed by Israel.
Okay.
Which is by no means impossible. There's nothing ruling that out. In fact, I mean, you have large numbers of people who were burnt in ways that could not have been done with the weapons that the Palestinian fighters had on them, but would be consistent with weapons that are regularly in use by the Israeli military.